Hey, what is up YouTube? And today we're going to be talking about the best SSR characters in the game right now for PVE. I'm just going to be talking about the top 5 units in my opinion based off my experiences and looking at what people are using. I'll be giving my opinions on all of the characters, so sit back and relax and make sure you guys take some notes. We do have a 2x event going on right now, so if you're watching this, it's a great time to build these characters if you have them, and I'll be telling you where you guys can actually use these characters in what areas of content. Before we go directly into the top 5 though, let's talk about some honorable mentions. So one of them is going to be Rosa, which may be a surprise to you guys. Some of you might think this should be a top 5 character for sure. But the thing is, she is a very good damage dealer because of her great single target damage. She has a crit chance buff, she has a speed down, and she also has this Blade Heart Bloom debuff, which makes her follow-up attack. However, the thing is, she is very gated by her damage profile. She's purely single target. She's basically like Diting, but then she's also going to do less damage than Diting and also have this elemental advantage and disadvantage she has to think about. She's still very solid, especially for Union boss, for like Nico Nana, for Aurora and stuff like that. She's very, very good, but her usage isn't going to be as wide as you think. And she's still a solid option. I would definitely build her if I had her, which is pretty sad. But I think there's going to be better options on this list. But like I said, she can be used in Nico Nana, Aurora. She can be used in Doki Doki as well if you really want to use her. Although in Doki Doki, she does fall off in Inferno because she kills the waves too slow. But just a very powerful single target DPS. And she is Mommy AF. Next runner-up that we'll talk about, and the last one is Giada, also a blue character. A lot of you guys might think she's like broken because a lot of people are kind of talking about her and hyping her up, and that's probably because of how good she is in Doki Doki Inferno, which she's very good in. She has a very powerful AoE attack that has a defense down, and you're going to see that this cooldown is pretty much non-existent when she ramps up her passive by just giving her buffs. So you pretty much run her with 4 supports that all give her buffs, and she solo DPSs for you and just kind of wipes the floor, especially in AoE. And she's very good in AoE situations, so Doki Doki's, she's very, very good. The thing is, she does require time to ramp up, and she doesn't actually kill as fast as you would think. In Doki Doki, the fastest clears are done by Romoka, and Giada is like a very good choice for Doki Doki because of her low gear requirements. But later on, her runs don't get that much quicker, and you know, you can use like a Massiah as well and find similar results with Giada, and she also relies very heavily on her supporting cast, right? She really needs Lily and Freya to shine, and you want to pair her with just full supports. Her S1s, whatever, she can steal buffs. This got changed to not work on Doki Doki, but it literally doesn't matter. People were kind of overreacting to it. She's still a monster because of how her passive gives her so much ramping damage, and because her S3 hits very hard, especially when you give her Revelation because of the extra hits it does with her passive. She can also be used in Aurora and just anywhere you need AoE. But keep in mind, you know, mostly you're going to use her in Doki Doki, and everywhere else there's going to be better options that are available. Now breaking into the top 5, at the number 5 spot we have Massiah. So Massiah is actually a very powerful DPS for PvE. In PvP he's like very strong, very broken honestly, but in PvE he's also very powerful, especially if you max his skills out. So this is a character that you really need to max his skills out. Rosa is also one you kind of want to max out, and Giada you want her S2 and S3 max, but Massiah you pretty much have to max him out to use him because of the fact that, you know, he gets so much damage from his nodes, and then he really relies on good stats to do well. So the reason why he's so good is because he's elemental neutral. So similar to Diting, right? You can bring him pretty much anywhere. The problem is that he isn't always the best pick in any dungeon, right? So for example, for Doki Doki, a lot of people use him, but he's not the best choice. Giada kind of does what he does, but a little bit better, and Romoka is just like a better character overall for Doki Doki. But the reason why he's so good is because if you invest into him for PvP, you can use him in PvE, and all you need on him is just 100% crit chance and the rest into damage. What I love about this character is that you can slot him in anywhere that you need to farm very fast, and also because he has this invincibility that gets extended whenever he kills something, right? So in Doki Doki especially, which is like the main area people use him for thresholds, he is actually surprisingly good because of this invincibility, because he has it up for more than half the fight, which makes it so that he can never die. And usually supports that you run around him are a lot more tankier, so they actually don't really care about getting hit too much. But the biggest problem in Doki Doki is there's a lot of RNG, because ads can randomly hit your DPS, so they die randomly, but Massiah is pretty much unkillable there. So invincibility is very good. His single target damage on his S2 is very good as well. He's pretty good with Revelation. You can actually use him on any of the 3 DPS shells, and he's pretty solid. You just have to change it up depending on the content. And just a very powerful, like, I would say jack of all trades, but he's not a jack of all trades because that kind of has the connotation that he's like not that great everywhere. He's just usable everywhere, but he is very good everywhere. I think I underrated him at the start of the game launch, but once I started playing with him and actually giving him good gear, I was surprised with how strong he is. Definitely a powerful DPS that is very universal. At the number 4 spot, we have the free-to-play Day 7 check-in event character you get, which is Lingluo. Now, Lingluo is a very solid healer, probably the best raw healer in the game, just because of her S3 having this immunity, which is super, super powerful, especially in Doki Doki, so you don't get stunned randomly and defense broken. Her healing like modifiers are crazy. Her S2 extends your buffs and heals you even more, which is crazy. And then her S1 has this passive built in where not only does she heal when she attacks with her S1, but before each time she heals from anything, she has the chance to dispel you from a debuff. And if you have no debuffs, you get Whale Prayer. And Whale Prayer also applies just for every ability, and it's just a chance to heal your health, and it stacks up to 5 times. So very good healer. The only problem is she does lack some dispels outside of the Rockstar passive. So Sanya is just a better, more consistent cleanser, but Lingluo's healing is unmatched, and she does have cleansing built in, just not the best in the game. And you can bring her in a lot of areas of content. So you can bring her into Doki Doki. She's very, very good there. You can also bring her into Aurora. She's pretty much required for Inferno Aurora. And you can bring her just pretty much anywhere into Ember Trek, into Anasync Echoes. Very good in extended fights. If you're running like a protect the carry comp with like Didinger or like Massiah in harder areas of content, which is kind of meta, or even Giada, right, for Doki Doki, Lingluo is like almost essential, right, because she has so much healing for your team, and she can just keep your team alive for even like 20 minutes fights. That's how strong she is, and she's just very, very powerful. Very good slot in healer. You can even bring her into green bosses. I've seen people bring her into not Inferno, but Hell 4 Termaton, and it still works because even though she gets focused down, she's very tanky because you stack her on health, and she heals so much. Definitely a top tier healer. If you guys are looking for any sustain, Lingluo is just like the go-to choice. Unless you're getting one shot, then maybe you want to bring in Valerian. Now at number 3, we have Kloss. So Kloss is getting a lot of hype right now. People are realizing that she's very strong. I think people are overhyping her, to be honest, but she's a very strong character. Reason is she has this S3 that has defense down and speed down. This is amazing. Speed down is like one of the best debuffs in the game for PvE because it allows you to get more turns off, and not only are you just doing more actions, but you're resetting the cooldowns on your skills quicker, which is very, very good. And also you have hacking progress. So hacking progress will apply anytime you really do damage, and this makes the targets take more damage and do less damage, right? And if you get to 3 stacks, you apply hack in, which is going to be an increased modifier on this. Very strong. Her S2 is a turn meter pushback that puts hacking progress down. Also, basically you have the chance to also get the hack in effect when you max debuff them. Just super strong. And then your S1 is super powerful because even though it doesn't do damage, you're applying this super broken debuff in hacking progress, right? So yeah, super, super strong character. She's very good with anything that can give you speed up as well because you can lap the enemy over and over. So a lot of the time you'll see Lily and Kloss together. If you have them, you can bring them like to a lot of areas of content, and you just lap the enemy over and over. You have defense breakdown on the mobs, and it's like super strong. And yeah, you can use her in Doki Doki. Very good in Doki Doki. She's very good in Termaton. Not going to use her in Aurora because she's green. You can use her in Ember Trek, Anasync Echoes. You can use her in a lot of shell farms. Any one-shot comps with like Diting and stuff like that, you're going to bring her because of the defense down and the speed down, so your team can take the turn faster. And you put the hacking progress on, which makes them take even more damage. So yeah, very solid support option. She is what Grey does, but better. And honestly, the best way to look at her is like a character that can take the role of 2 characters, if that makes sense. So if you're bringing like a defense down character and like a turn cycler, you can take them both out and just put in Kloss, and she does that job. For example, if you're bringing like Grey and like, I don't know, like Chiaki the Echo, I guess they're kind of different, but you get what I'm saying. She can take the role, take the place of 2 characters, and it just opens up another slot on your team to bring like another different support or a sustainer to make your runs more consistent. Definitely a top tier unit. That's why I have her at number 3. At number 2, we have Freya. So Freya is one of the best supports, obviously, because she's at number 2 for PvE, and she's very good in PvP, but we're going to focus more on the PvE aspect, and that's because she has this attack buff, which is very good. Hits 4 times, so you can put her on Revelation on a crit build, and she does crazy damage on the first turn, and she also applies Nightmare. So Nightmare, super strong debuff. It's kind of like Hacking Progress, where they take more damage, but instead of the enemies also doing less damage, when you attack enemies with Nightmare, you have like a lifesteal effect. So it's very effective on damage dealers that, you know, are getting low, and in Doki Doki, if your, you know, DPS is getting hit a bit, they can heal up very quickly with Nightmare. She also has this defense buff on her S2, and also has this Dreamweave. So Dreamweave is when you have a debuff, you consume a stack to purify it, and you can stack this up. So it's very, very strong. And her S1 is, it's a lot of text, but her S1 is just a single target attack, and you have a chance to Dreamweave as well. And you can also apply Nightmare with it. The secondary effect is her passive, so every time an ally gets a buff, they get turn meter pushed, and every time an enemy has a debuff, they get turn meter pushed back. And this can go 3 times a turn. This is like one of the most broken passives in the game. People kind of overlook it. It's the reason why she's so good in PvP, because it doesn't need to be her turn for this to activate either. It just happens. So in Doki Doki, if you open with like Kazuo or like Kloss, they get pushed back a lot. And you'll notice that because it's happening because of this Dream Guide effect. And when you're getting buffed, you're also getting pushed up. So it's very, very strong, and just makes her one of the best supports in the game. She has very good offensive capabilities with Nightmare and attack buff, very good defensive capabilities with defense buff and Dreamweave, and she also has this Dream Guide to help you cycle. You kind of see why she's so good. Very good in Terramaton, very good in Doki Doki, also just very good everywhere, to be honest. You just have to be careful bringing her into red places, but honestly, you can still play her in Aurora. In my Aurora team, I use her. I had to drop her for Inferno, but up to Hell 4, she was still very solid because her kit is just that strong. Definitely a top tier support, one of the best in the game, and she's just super good pretty much everywhere. And she kind of bad. And the number 1 should be no surprise. Whoop-de-doo, it's Lily. So don't really have to talk about her too much. Everyone knows what she does because you either have her and always use her, or you don't have her and you really want her really badly, so you know what she does anyways. Basically, she has this Twin Trick buff. Basically, whenever Lily takes a turn on the ally she gives Twin Trick, they get CR pushed. She also has an AoE speed buff, which is already super strong, and then if you buff the target that already has Twin Trick with this again, they get crit damage, so very powerful. And her S1's like the most broken thing about her. When you attack whoever has Twin Trick, they will assist you and support with a follow-up attack. This is why the dot comps really need her, because you just give Twin Trick to Shadow Sonya, and she's just applying dots over and over and over. Also just very good in general with like dieting, just like any DPS, right? She just makes your DPS get super juiced and do way more damage because they get crit damage buff, they get cycled very quickly with Twin Trick as well, they're doing damage on Lily's turn, and on top of that, you have her S3. So S3 will do an AoE attack, it will extend the enemy's, you know, shell skill cooldowns and regular cooldowns, and also reset your cooldowns and shell skill cooldowns with whoever has Twin Trick. Just super OP at buffing a DPS. That's why she's very good in late game, because late game the meta shifts from like 1 DPS and like a sub DPS to just 1 DPS and 4 supports. So because like you need to live, right? It's like once you get to higher in content, Inferno for example, you just die super fast. You just need a lot of healing and a lot of defensives. But Lily is just very good because she has the capability to make your DPS just do way more damage, and she is pretty tanky herself. She doesn't require any stats but speed and health, which makes her a very tanky, like damage boosting character. So that's why she's very good. Also, if you're manualing in a pinch, you can always S2 an opener in PvP, or even in PvE in Anasync Echoes if you're getting outsped by like the enemies. For example, there's like a Heinrich stage on floor 27 that the ads have like 300 speed. If you have your Lego first, you can boost like your Kazuo or whatever that has an AoE CC and CC them. So she's very flexible. You don't always have to Twin Trick your, your DPS. You can Twin Trick anyone. Just makes her very powerful, right? And also, you know, the S3s are super broken because you can delay the enemies from doing their big hit. So top tier character. They need to run a banner for her soon. If you're watching this in the future and they already have, nice. If they didn't, they need to. Not only will they make a lot of money, but it gives everyone a chance to get her. And honestly, they should give out a selector or something, because this character is kind of gating a lot of the endgame content, realistically speaking. And I know people are going to say, oh, there's so many comps without Lily you can run. 1, there are comps. I agree with you. 2, there's not a lot. And 3, the ones that don't have Lily have like super cracked gear, and it just feels bad because even though you can make comps without Lily, like Lily just speeds up your progress exponentially, especially in the late game when it actually matters. So I think it's a pretty big problem. But yeah, thank you for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think about this tier list. I guess not tier list, but ranking. And I'll see you guys next video.